there were people walking around in the background, and I never met them personally. And I thought, oh my gosh, their minds, what they studied, what they had to learn to know exactly where that radiation was going to go, right? That everybody here knows, and then in all the years this took. I'm so grateful. So those are called my shadow doctors. And I've always been grateful, but never had personal experience, where I could thank them personally. But I'm grateful to them too. There's so many people I'm grateful to.
Yes.
But Ironwood has been a mainstay in my life, and I'm forever ever happy that I could say this thank you to all of them. And then this lovely human being, Clay, who is filming me, there's another thank you that's going out. And then to see you here to share this with you.
You too, sweetie.
Oh my goodness gracious. God is good. Yeah, all the time. I had told the doctor with my checkup that I had had some blood, but rectally, because I had rectal cancer, but that I just thought probably it was something to dismiss it, and actually did nothing about it until I had a reoccurrence 2 years later. When I went to the doctor's office, the lovely physician's assistant told me, it's probably not cancer because it usually takes 2 years for those polyps to turn into cancer. And it was exactly 2 years before that time that I had seen all that blood. So I'm also here to tell people, don't put off seeing a doctor when there are any symptoms at all. I was very fortunate that my cancer, the diagnosis was that it was just at a beginning stage. They never said that, but I never heard like 1, 2, 3, or 4 either. It just was that we needed to do something about it immediately, and it would not be surgery. It would be chemo and radiation, which brought me to Ironwood. At that time, I was also suffering from excruciating back pain. I was in a wheelchair. I had to get a motorized chair in my house to go from my bedroom to take the dog out the back door. I had to walk the dog with a motorized scooter. So that was my primary concern. I'd had a lot of consultations with doctors about it, and nothing was resolved. So there I was, sitting there in Dr. Long's office and telling him about my rectal cancer, and he was asking questions. My best friend Pam was there, and I said, my attitude was not very nice. I think I hadn't surrendered yet to the idea that I had cancer and had to participate in it. I think I was still in shock. So I said to Dr. Long, well, very uppity, I think. My attitude had to change. But I said to him, well, I have to do something about my back pain before I can ever even consider chemotherapy and radiation. So he just smiled, closed his computer, and said, fine, go get your back fixed and come see me. And my friend Pam said, no. And that's the kind of friend that I really know that you have also an advocate, but she's one of a kind. She's done a lot of research on the mind-body connection, and she was great through the whole process, so I want to give her credit, as I'm sure many people who have gone through this want to give their advocates and their friends and their family credit for supporting them. So that was the beginning, and there was one other instance, I've been thinking about this, one other instance, when I had the port insertion, I had to lie and wait for maybe 4 hours. I hadn't eaten. That's not a big deal to me, but I didn't have my phone. I had to get up and go to the bathroom several times, and all of a sudden I thought, I'm just gonna walk out of here. I'm just not doing this. This is ridiculous. And that's when I realized that I had to go through with it. I was going through with it, and that decision changed everything. I was an English teacher in high school, and my favorite class to teach was writing and creative writing and writing, and so my goal was to get my students to be able to express themselves and find an inner voice that they had. Now, how do you do that with, very sophisticated seniors in high school? And so, just as an idea, what I did was I put Mozart on in the background, and I was writing when they came in, and my writing was free thoughts writing. And they were just like, what is that teacher doing? She must be crazy. Well, maybe crazy, maybe inventive, because they sat down and had the desk in a circle, and I said, just start writing whatever you're thinking, because a lot of people don't think they have anything to say. it's really too bad. They don't only think they don't have anything to say, but they haven't even discovered their inner voice, their real voice, what they really want to say, or they're afraid to say it. So they would write, and then I'd stop and I'd say, okay, who wants to read? Well, nobody's going to do that. And a senior in high school would be the first to reveal themselves that way. So I'd say, okay, just close your eyes and take your finger and run it down the page and just stop at a line and read that line. And they did. And they got to see, because I could tell them what I saw in that line that revealed themselves to me. So that's always been a passion of mine, to know, like, what's really going on, what's behind this symbol. Just like I was explaining about the ironwood tree, ironwood cancer centers. What did it mean? What does it mean? Ironwood, I looked it up. The ironwood is the strongest tree, densest timber, has a canopy of up to 30 feet that shelters, doesn't lose its leaves. What does that mean? I'm always looking for meaning in things. So for me, really quickly, what it meant was, in that facility, there is strength of intelligence, strength of dedication, strength of professionalism that I am going to benefit from, as well as I'm going to get a covering while I'm going through this disease of protection and care. And that is the mission statement of Ironwood too, which is compassion with kindness, which is what I received there. But to get back to my book, all of these experiences were so real to me. And in the meantime, I was reading to a lady who lived in our compound, our area, and she couldn't see, and she was brilliant, and she had been a writer, and I'd read to her because she couldn't see, and she had books and things everywhere in her house. She told me one time that books were a cathedral. The library, she always used to go to the library, get 10 books at a time, twice a week, and that she felt books were a cathedral of ideas. I love that, a cathedral of ideas, which is what books are, which is what ideas are. So she said, okay, Margaret, you have to write a book about your miraculous healing and your radical hope. And I go, and she said, and you can't be distracted, too much Christmas decorating, get on it. So what I did it because, first of all, I loved her, and so I wrote this book. And in this book, I have many very short chapters, but it really tells the story of my journey and what it took to get through it. It's just not only a story. People tell me they read it and they laugh and they cry. Rectal cancer can be either awful or very funny at times, and very messy. I have a chapter in there called Messy. And so, and it was. But I thought about it because a lot of people have talked about the book with me who have had very serious bouts with COVID. And they said this book helped them so much to be vulnerable about what they went through, their pain, and they were able to ask for more help because of my encouragement in my book about being able to be free to ask for help and receive it. But so that's how the book came to be. It's transformed my life, writing this book, because first of all, it took me through the experience. I felt it was so valuable to me that after I wrote the book, I also wrote a journal, which I'm asking people to download for free on my website, which is www.movingforwardwithmargaret.com, because I think participating in your journey of cancer and healing gives you a strength that you've never realized before. My strength came after I'd finished the book, actually during, but I was already through my treatment. I'd already had my back surgery, but it reinforced my determination about my health, about my spiritual health, about the growth I had. People say, find purpose in everything, tell me, something bad happens and there's good to be found in it. And it's a very hard concept for them to see good in pain. But I see purpose in pain if you make up your mind to see it. Romans 8:28 says everything happens for the good for those who are in Christ Jesus. But the key is for good. But that's a decision you have to make. You have to look for the good yourself. And if you look for the good, you will find it, I believe. Some people ask me, well, that's okay for you to say because look how things turned out for you. And what about people who, I had to ask that question. I had to deal with it in the book. What about people who die? What about people who are suffering? What about your friend who lost everything feminine about her with breast cancer, her hair, her breasts, her uterus, everything about her idea of wife and mother. Well, how do you deal with that? I had to with the book, because that is all connected in my mind to a huge mystery. So my answer is, it's not going to really help much if you don't believe in it. It's a mystery. It's a mystery between that person and God. But what I think is it changes your identity to something more than you could ever think of yourself as. If I could talk to a patient at any stage, I would say, please, never lose hope. Anytime you have a fear thought, change it in your head, because I believe so much in the power of the mind and the direction of our thinking. Mind creates our own reality. So I would say transform that fear thought. Be honest about it, be vulnerable, admit it, but transform it into a hope thought. Get a picture, get a vision, as I said before, get clear. But the most important thing is, no, I am worth it, I am loved, and I have a future. And trust me, that was more than I could, my future is more than I could have ever imagined. And I'm wishing the same for everybody who's listening to this or watching this. And I want to reassure you about hope and miracles. Carolyn isn't with us anymore, but this is her legacy, and this was her dream, that this message would get out. She was the blind friend who inspired me to write this book and was my mentor and my dear friend. But there were others. And I'm thinking right now of not only Pam, I've talked about her, but my friend Sue. And she said, Margaret, do you need any help? And I said at that point, no, I'm fine. No, I'm fine. And then I thought, whoa, wait a minute, I probably do. And I said, do you think you could just vacuum for me once in a while? She said, I'll be over there today. And that one request and my agreeing to let myself be helped evolved into the greatest friendship one could ever imagine, because she was there every single day with me. And Pam came later because she was taking care of her 100-year-old mom, and so she came later, and it really lifted the burden off of my friend Pam to have Sue in my life also. And she came over every single day, took care of me, took me to all of my appointments. But here's the beautiful part: she never felt sorry for me. I did not feel sorry for myself, but there were occasions where things weren't real good, and I wanted to talk about it. So she'd listen, and then she'd say, well, moving forward. And she always looked ahead when she said it. And so that's what I named my book, about moving forward. And that's really what life is all about. It's moving forward with expectation and love of really good friends, knowing that it's divinely, for me, divinely ordained by God to be the best ever.